What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another super exciting tier list today. I am joined by the one, the only, brand new ITC champion. Welcome to the club, Jack.
Woo!
Hell yeah. Jack.
And LVO Winner Club, too.
LVO
Winner Club.
Hey! That's right. So now when we rank these things, you can add more things to those titles. No, but today's Tuesday. Tuesday's the most exciting day of the week, and everybody knows why. It's because we rank stuff. It's Tier List Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to put things in tier lists or top 10 lists. Top 10 Tuesday also works, I think.
It could. But you know what? Today, I think we're talking about maybe the bottom 10. The biggest losers of the whole Arks of Omen set. Which units got the 10 biggest nerfs in 40K?
Oof. Yeah, usually you want to be on these lists, but this one, maybe you're going to be having your nails, just going to be clenching your fists. You're going to be hoping, am I on this list? I hope I'm not.
I hope you're not. Usually you want to be a unit that's like, oh, I'm one of the best units in the game, but not today. Today we're talking about the people who used to be the best units in the game and maybe have fallen by the wayside.
Some of them are still decent. Like, some of them are still good. Some of them you'll still run in top lists. And we'll talk about that.
Absolutely. So these units are not necessarily bad by any stretch. They just were wherever they were, and then how much they were nerfed.
Exactly. Because there's several of these that are, I think, going to still make top lists.
Yeah, we were talking about it as we were constructing the list. A lot of them were like, I'll still run that. Well, but maybe less. And we got a $2 super chat from Joseph Goldbaum, $2. Congratulations, Jack.
Congratulations. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Love all of you.
Seriously, well done. All right, everybody. If you're new here, we do a lot of competitive 40K content. We use some of the best players in the world, and we're solely focused on helping you get better at this game. So please do us a favor, subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment telling Jack congratulations, and that we're all very handsome. It helps us stay alive. And you know what? We appreciate that.
Or that the champ shall dump on the chumps.
The champ shall dump on the chumps. With another $2 super chat from John DeLeo. Congratulations, Jack. That 6-inch charge fail was wild. Oh, what happened?
You know how Sean failed the 6-inch rerollable charge with his Killer Claw War Boss against Sully?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did the same exact thing tournament against me.
Oh man, he's got it
wasn't even like he felt a 7 or a 5. He felt a 6.
Good.
Yeah.
Let him
know.
Woo! Nice. All right, everybody.
Anyway, I'm getting an Astraeus, I think.
An Astraeus. I mean, 2,000 point armies. That
Astraeus.
Sieg's won
maybe a Thunderhawk. I don't know. He got a Manta.
Yeah, it's good times.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start ranking the top 10 most nerf units in the game. Let's get right on into it. Everybody, let us know what you think in the comments if you agree, disagree. Leave a super chat if you want us to answer your questions. Like that one right there from Brendan Green, $5 Canadian.
Ooh.
I called it a week ago that Jack was winning. The man has been on a mission this last year. Incredible to watch.
Well, when you got this team in your corner, Nick... It's hard not to be on a mission or whatever.
We're the best ITC team as well for 3 years in a row. So proud.
That's right. No intent of slowing down.
No, none whatsoever.
Absolutely not. All right. So I think this one, number 10, I think is a poster child for still pretty good.
Still pretty good.
All right. We've got the Star Weaver.
You would think -1 invul was enough to knock these guys right out of the park.
I did think that, actually.
A lot of people thought that.
I thought that, and then in 2 consecutive stream games, I ran over Tau and I ran over Iron Hands.
Those are like really good armies, Jack.
Yeah, they're really heavy shooting, too. You would think having a 5-up means you're just dead there. You're just no good in that matchup.
I know. So how come this is not that bad of a nerf? Or I guess like it is that bad of a nerf, but how come you still think they're playable?
So it is a significant nerf. A 4-up invuln, honestly, just after playing with a 5-up invuln on them, a 5-up feels like where the vehicle should have been.
Yeah.
Right. The 4-up is just gross.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to kill them.
The fact that Harlequins are durable before was just like, what is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should still be durable, and they still are. It's just the boats are durable. Mm-hmm. And the reason the boats are still durable is because -1 to hit, no rerolls to hit, or if you're light, I guess, only hitting on a 4+ outside of 18. But the -1 to hit, no rerolls is still the biggest gate on your ability to actually hurt them. Right. So that didn't change. I mean, if they lost like -1 to hit, I actually think that would have been a bigger deal than than the 4-up invuln. But yeah, a 5-up invuln feels like where they should be for durability. They're still really annoying to get through. If you need to kill 1 Star Weaver, no problem, buddy. You can do that. That's easy. If you need to kill 2, no problem. You've got this. I believe in you. If you need to kill 8,
8.
8 all at once because they're all moving 16 inches and they're all swarming you with troops inside and they're all going to get out behind terrain and then they're all going to charge you and they're all shooting you and it's all bad. Yeah, that's the point where, like, not really any army in the game still deals with that.
No, for sure. That's it's not what you want, basically, when you're getting run over by the speed. Because honestly, the thing that makes Harlequins so powerful is their mobility. They just go wherever they want, whenever they want. Their offense, they kill things really well. And they're basically delivering fast OBSEC to your doorstep onto your objectives and just ruining your scoreboard. And all that's still there.
Yeah, it's all still there. It's a shell for Harlequin units to move across the battlefield. And it's something that, a term I think has come up recently called activation gate.
Oh.
So that's kind of a complex, like it's kind of a higher level term, but basically it means that your opponent minimum has to burn one of their unit's activations just to kill a Star Weaver, which means that it takes a second unit's activation to kill the unit inside and a third activation to kill the character that was inside. And that is...
It's annoying.
That's very annoying to get through, especially when at no point in the process can you be guaranteed you actually get it with the activation.
Right.
Because if you fire one vehicle, don't get it, that's an entire activation burned on nothing. And then the next one, they get it, and now the third thing kills the troops, and then the fourth thing kills the character. And that's if they don't disembark behind a wall, and you have to go dig them out. It's still very annoying to deal with, and I think Harlequins are still a top army.
Yeah, I think Harlequins definitely maybe went from like S tier, one of the best armies in the game, to like pretty good, but they're still pretty good.
They're still pretty good. I would strongly consider running 8 boats, 8-boat Twilight to a tournament. Basically, you just take the things that improved and you staple it onto the existing list.
You know what else improved? This $5 super chat from DPZ. Congrats, Jack. What army will be your first foray into Arks of Omen? Iron Hands or Dark Angels, maybe?
I was thinking Dark Angels, but I still got to think, because I have a 2,000 point army in the bag. I can just get, and yeah, I would really like a super heavy, a Lord of War, but maybe I can get most of a
Fate Weaver.
Yeah, I can get a Fate.
Mine. You get out of here. Trick question.
But yeah, I think Ravenwing match my playstyle pretty well right now.
You know what? We have a great point in the chat over here. 250 views, 18 likes. Get it together, chat. Come on. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. You know the jazz. Numero 9.
All right, numero 9. And this is kind of a stand-in for a lot of Space Marine units, in my opinion. The Inceptors. Plasma Scepters. So they were the #1 most improved Space Marine unit. They might have been the #1 most improved unit in the entire game. And then GW just brought them right back to 60 points, which I think was a really weird decision. They're saying it was an accident. I mean, who am I to say that they're wrong?
I don't know why or how the machine works over there, but they're at 60 right now. And I don't think they're too great at 60, personally.
No, when they're back to where they were, and they lost Armor of Contempt.
Yeah.
And this is a stand-in for all Space Marine units that did not get significant changes that lost Armor of Contempt. Boy, are they in trouble.
So I want to talk about like relative power here, because it's not like Space Marine, like Plasma Scepters, like you said, barely got nerfed relative to where they were in Nephilim. They just lost Armor of Contempt the same way everybody did.
That's not a barely got nerfed.
Well, but you know, the real thing is that the entire codex around them vastly got better, and then they're like, wait, for us.
No, I think that the rest of the army got better, or some parts of it. There's only like some amount of Space Marines that actually got better, and those are fueling the lists. But everything that stayed close to the same, or literally exactly the same, and then lost Armor of Contempt, it's like Terminators going to a 3-up armor save. Like, that's a huge nerf. And so, Plasma Scepters, rip. You know, anything that didn't significantly change, that lost Armor of Contempt, adios, muchacho.
Adios, muchacho. They really just aren't it. Sad Scepters.
Yeah, sad Plasma boys. Every time they blow themselves up now, it hurts that much more.
Pretty odd with another £2 super chat. Why is Venom Spam not as good for Dark Eldar as Weavers?
Well, you and I both played with Venoms recently.
So I think the thing is that when you kill a Star Weaver, which is more difficult because they have I guess they're the same now, aren't they?
Star Weaver?
Star Weaver's Venom defensively.
Venoms are -1 to hit.
Yeah, only in shooting.
Star Weavers Yeah, Star Weavers are no rerolls to hit.
No, that's a huge thing.
That's pretty massive.
The stuff inside the Star Weavers is generally better. Like, you can make witches decent, you can make incubi, they're still fine, but like 5 incubi is pretty similar in offense to 5 Harlequin troops. They're not obsec.
If you stack CP on them, but then the Harlequin troops shoot.
Yeah. They're faster. They move through models. It's just deliverability, really, like which codex they're in.
Yep, and also the Star Weaver. I mean, both of the Venom Spam is better than people give it credit for.
Venom Spam's not bad.
Yeah, Venom Spam's not bad, but the no rerolls to hit, I think, is the biggest deal.
I would say also the Star Weavers have reasonable guns, right? Like 2 shuriken cannons doesn't suck. 2 splinter rifle, splinter cannon. That doesn't do anything.
No, that's a good point too.
Yeah,
because you pay 75 points or 80 points or whatever for Venom, and you for 15 points more you get 2 shuriken cannons on a 16-inch moving platform, and no rerolls to hit. But even there, I think Venoms are fairly good and fairly underrated.
They are.
As far as transports go.
They are.
All right. Speaking of something that is not underrated.
Yeah.
The Flyrant.
Number 8. All right, so the Flyrant, he got a small points increase, as he should. But what really is the kicker here is not actually a data slate change to him or a points nerf to him.
He did go up as well, though.
Yeah, it's the good old-fashioned overrun balanced data slate ruling. So overrun is the stratagem Tyranids use to leave after they attack something. They basically make an entire move, and in this case, this boy moves 17 inches, after they're done obliterating something. So he just like ran to the middle, cast Psychic Ritual, ate whatever you put on that middle objective, and then flew back to safety behind a Tyrant Guard.
Yeah, or because they can, in Kraken, you can go 25 inches and then declare a charge, and then you basically just dive into the middle of your opponent's army, pick out whatever you want, kill it, move 17 inches back to where your Tyrant Guard are, and you just can't shoot him. It was such a gross and disgusting combination. It made me very mad every time I had to play against it.
And then the Tyranid players started to run too. And then it was really bad.
And all of a sudden they're all running too now. And I'm like, One of them had a Reaper of Obliterax, and literally just cut anything in the game in half. And then the other one is Maw Claws, and would like get an extra attack every time he killed something, and reroll wounds, and suddenly everything's dying.
Yeah.
And they're way too fast. And now they're still kind of the same.
They still move 25 inches and charge you. They still kill whatever they want. They still are difficult to deal with. But you know what? I can attack them. And that's a big deal to me.
It is, says the Eldar player.
You're right. You know what? After he comes in, kills Baharoth, he's still there. All right, my turn.
Yeah, you, well, you don't like that?
No, I really don't. It's happened too many times. No, but seriously, these guys are amazing still. I don't necessarily know that they're auto-includes like they used to be. They're not the backbone that the Tyranid list plays off of. So they've significantly gotten nerfed, but I do think Flyrants are still a playable data sheet.
I think they are playable. I think they got a lot worse. I'd be curious to see what John does in the future.
Yeah.
But they do move ludicrously fast and hit very, very hard, so
they also open up like Synapse chain leaks deep into your line. Like I've had John cast Neuro Parasite from a Neuro throw up like 100 inches away, and the Flyrant is blowing up my Swooping Hawks behind a wall. That sucks.
It's not fun. At least he's gonna stand there and account for what he did.
Exactly. You pay a penance now. Tim G, who's been a member for 6 months, with GW announcing open tournaments for June, July, October, and November. Do you see 10 dropping before June in the middle of the tourney schedule or after it's over? It's so hard to say right now, Tim. I don't know GW's release schedule, but hopefully they, just make it exciting. Don't do it in the middle of the season. That's my preference, but who knows?
Who knows? We'll just have to see what happens, and we'll all adapt to any changes or not.
Why not?
But we really don't know right now.
Zach from Sad Boy Hours with a $5 super chat as well. Thank you so much, Zach. He didn't even say anything. He was like support for the channel. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Zach from Sad Boy Hours. I see you. So here's something I do want to address before we get to Actually, let's get to Skarzard.
Oh, we got super chats coming in out the wazoo.
Oh, it's coming in. All right, so Skarzard, $5 super chat. Do y'all think Tau or Imperial Knights are better set up to be competitive in Arks of Omen? So I think Tau are a worse army than Imperial Knights, but I think Imperial Knights are worse. Sorry. I think Imperial Knights are a better army. I think Tau are better set up into the metagame. Mm-hmm. So Imperial Knights, I think, are a very, very good, underappreciated army with good secondaries, good shooting, good units, good speed, mobility, the whole shebang. But occasionally you will run into an Iron Hands player, and the Iron Hands player goes first, and then you technically it becomes your turn when their turn is done, but that doesn't really help you. And then Tau got more expensive. The Sun Shark, which I do want to talk about. The Sun Shark has to go in reserve, which I don't think is that big of a deal. But you can fire and fade, jump, shoot, jump, or strike and fade, or whatever, over and over again. You have Riptides that do the same thing. You have commanders that can be very good and use character protection, which means you don't get shot back by those gun armies.
Yeah, for sure. Another $5 super chat from Dragon Magic. That sounds
Dragon
like
Mage.
Dragon Magic.
Right.
Can Deathwing Terminators have a Cyclone Missile Launcher, Thunderhammer, and Storm Shield in any way the rules are written? I am truly unsure.
Yeah, I believe they can. It's if I remember correctly, because I looked at the Death Watch, or maybe that's Death Watch Terminators. Yeah, the Death Watch Terminators definitely can. You swap your Stormbolter and Power Sword for the Cyclone Missile. You swap your Stormbolter for a Cyclone and a Stormbolter, so now you have a Stormbolter again. And then you swap out your Stormbolter and your Power Weapon for Thunderhammer Storm Shield. You're all good.
This is why I don't play Marines, everybody. Yeah. Corey Schultz with the $5 super chat. Jack, are you a believer of the Tesseract Vault? For those who don't know.
That Corey Schultz is the guy I played round 5.
It's a one-point game, right?
It was a 1-point game.
Wow.
It ended up coming down to, could my Death Company get the kill on a plane in order to win the game? And luckily, one Death Company became 2, got every buff and went in and managed to get it. But that's what it came down to.
Great game.
Am I a believer of the Tesseract Vault? I am. The Tesseract Vault ripped my army in half. It was rough.
Oh, man. Not the Tesseract.
It's core. Why is it core, Nick? It teleports.
Everyone knows it's core, Jack. That's what your Necron armies are supposed to be.
I know, but when it's teleporting with Veil of Darkness in order to just rain like 30 mortals on my army, I knew it could do it. It's just, what am I supposed to do about that, you know?
And then Nanya Business for the $5 super chat. What would it take for the Ghost Kill to be an attractive choice? How would you try to make it currently if you had to?
I think it's okay. In this metagame, something has to stand out in the open if you don't want the Ghost Kill to get shot, because you have to be the closest eligible. So I don't think it's very good right now. But it's decent in infiltrating up the board with a reasonable amount of guns, I think. Yeah. Especially the Cyclic Ion Raker got significantly better with Armor of Contempt going away. It's AP2 base. Mm-hmm. It's Strength 8, AP2, 3 damage. That's a good profile nowadays. Yeah. Whereas before, not as much. So I think the Ghost Kill could actually be used. And then the Fusion Collider is like a super melta-gun, like a super multi-melta. Right. So I actually think Ghost Kill's a lot better than people give it credit for. I think I would like it to have core, though.
Everyone wants core. It can't all be Necrons.
True.
And Macelia dealt with another $5 Canadian super chat. Do you think the Riptide and Triple Hammerheads will be seen at all? I kind of want to try running that in BoardCon with whatever else I can fit in there.
So you have an option anytime you look at a metagame that's full of guns. You can join the gunfight and just try to shoot your opponent harder, or you can try to avoid the gunfight. And Tau have the option to do both, which is great for them. It's awesome. They have the ability to shoot you, but not get shot back. So that's why I think that the Hammerheads, I think the Triptide, great, because they can shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move. And are also just super durable when it comes down to, like, armies are hitting each other. But Triple Hammerhead, I think, is just opening yourself up to going second into Iron Hands, and I don't think you have to do that. I think Tau can avoid that.
For real. $20 super chat from Matt O.
But it is good. It is good.
I would love to get to this tier list, but you know what? These super chats are just raining in. We love it. Thanks for the support, everybody.
Thank you.
Matt O. Congrats to Jack for winning LVO with a God-fearing Blood Angels and not Weedy Elder. Excuse you.
You were playing demons.
I did. Thanks for hopefully speeding up those Marine nerfs.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Blood Angels need nerfs right now. But yeah, no, thank you, Matto. It's been a pleasure having you in our community.
Absolutely. Then we got Lewis Patton over here with another $5 super chat. Does a Talus with 2 commanders, a 5-man Crisis Blob, Triptide, 6 Crude Hounds, and player-based filler sounds like a competitive town list?
Well, 6 Crude Hounds, I believe, is illegal. I think it's either 4 or 8. But player-based filler, 2 commanders, 5-man Crisis Blob, Triptide. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Sounds like a good Talus to me.
Sounds like,
it really does.
I honestly want to experiment with BoardCon because those commanders are cracked.
Yeah.
And then I think if you take the Enforcer and the Cold Star, at that point I don't think you take Crisis Suits, because I wouldn't take Crisis Suits without a Crisis Commander.
Nice.
Personally. Speaking of Tau, before we head on the list, people are going to assume that the Sun Shark is on here, and it is not on here.
Why isn't it on here? They can't go on the bird and bomb people turn 1. That's like what they did.
Yeah, so I actually think that it starts off the board turn 1, but most of the time it would be off the board after turn 1 anyway in my games, and all it lost was the bombs turn 1, which is significant, but I would either fly it off the board almost all the time turn 1, so my opponent couldn't kill it, and then I could later on turn 3 converge and collapse on their army, which is what you want. If you try to turn 1 table your opponent, you're giving them the planes, and then on turn 2, then they deal with the Crisis Suits and whatnot. It helps spread it out. Whereas turn 1, I'd fly off bomb, and then turn 2, you come down in a safe position. Turn 3, everything collapses on your opponent and the game ends. They still do that. They still just do that.
They still do.
They still absolutely do that. And if you go second, they are literally identical.
That's
Because
true.
no, they're better because you don't have to spend for the redeploy world of trait if you don't want to.
And then we've got a $2 super chat from Acelia Delt. Triple Hammerhead bad with free reserves, though? I think Triple Hammerheads is a little gimmicky, and like it's very good at popping tanks and things like that. And then it's not great into demons. They'll just pass saves against you. And then it's not great into things that aren't vulnerable to the Hammerhead type of weapon.
Yeah, like
also
Star
direct
Weavers.
line of sight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real coin flippy. I don't love the idea generally of taking a whole bunch of shooting or anti-tank or like vital resources and just putting it in reserves whether you go first or second.
Yeah.
Because you're just open to getting rushed down if your opponent gets first turn and just goes, oh, they'll show up turn 2. You will not make it to turn 2. Boom.
Hammerheads in specific also put a lot of emphasis on a singular, very important dive roll sequence, and it's like there's a lot of things that can just screw that up. And then what did I spend points for?
Yeah, I think Long Strike is incredible, but I think that other Hammerheads are good sometimes and very bad sometimes.
For sure.
The worst part is you have to make every turn when you make your plans for how the turn's going to go, you have to assume that they do nothing.
Yeah, I don't need
Like,
that.
not a single thing.
It's
You
so
have to be
binary.
like,
Yeah.
if this doesn't hit or this doesn't wound, I just have to assume it doesn't exist. And then it's just like, happy coincidence, you died.
Speaking of units that may or may not exist, let's head off to number 7. The good old-fashioned Swooping Hawks.
There we
One
go.
of my favoriteest units in 40k. I think the models are really cool. I think their playstyle is really cool. I think I love being shot and not being shot back. Unfortunately, the Games Workshop overlords not only nerfed them once, but now twice, all the way up to 25 points per model.
I think it is deeply funny that we go from the flyer where you were complaining about not getting to hit it back straight into Swooping Hawks where you're like, my favorite unit, I can't believe it.
I can't believe it. I really can believe it, but I'm sad about it. No, so I still think you may see a unit of Swooping Hawks. I think being able to shoot something and not be shot back, just go somewhere else on the board, especially late game, gets you behind enemy lines and all that, really, really, really strong. The volume of firepower is awesome. This is kind of the opposite thing of the Hammerhead. Hammerhead puts it all into one shot that's super powerful. Swooping Hawks, 10 of them, have 40 shots that are all mediocre. But then 6 is to hit auto wound is an amazing rule. Guide is an amazing psychic power. Doom is great. Jinx exists. I don't have to teach Eldar right now, but you know what? I still think these are okay.
You pick one enemy thing, and then they were laughing at your 40 strength 4 AP 0 shots, 1 damage shots, and then they're not laughing afterwards.
Yeah.
These things kill vehicles in shooting. It's ridiculous.
No one sees it coming, you know? Like I'm going to just jam vehicles at you. Your army's made of Swooping Hawks. Dead. It's beautiful. Oh, man. It's unfortunate they won't have 25 points a model. I've been trying to write other lists without them that try to do different things, just to experiment with how Eldar work in new arcs. But this strategy of shooting and not being shot back is just there.
Still good. Yeah, you can. Turns out you can have 50 less points in your army, and if you never get shot back, it's okay.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, Swooping Hawks are still fine, but they take more out of your list if you want to build around them.
I used to run, in very recent history of Warzone Land, I ran 20 Swooping Hawks in the Swift Strikes Masterful Shots custom craft world. I just don't think you're going to see those builds anymore. You're spending 500 points on Swooping Hawks. They're not that great. But
Also, mortars exist right now, and that is a super dope -1 to hit, 5 up, feel no pain you got right there. Yeah, mortars ignore both of those things.
yeah, and then they're also not amazing into Iron Hands. It's nice that you can shoot and not get shot back, which is awesome. But like, imagine shooting 10 Swooping Hawks at a Gladiator. Iron Hands of a 4 plus Deny Strat, you're very reliant on Psychic Powers to actually get damage done with these guys. They're toughness 8 already, so wounding on 6s sucks.
They can have a 5 up against mortals when you try and do your flyover.
It's just not it. It's just not it.
They can kill tanks, but when you fight a tank army, they feel really bad to have.
Right. Zach the Sad Boy with another $5 super chat. Could I run a Keeper's Secrets and Emperor's Children? If so, what would it look like? I love the model and I'm fairly new. Started in late November. Well, I'm glad you have found our channel and welcome to 40K. You can run a Keeper's Secrets and Emperor's Children in a Slaanesh Demon patrol that's allied into your Emperor's Children Arks of Omen detachment. I quite like adding in Slaanesh Demons to Emperor's Children. I think being able to take the Master Possession to Warp Locus in things like a Keeper's Secrets could be really cool. You can also take an Infernal and Rapturous, who is another Warp Locus type model. I think you can tech a Keeper really well for anti-combat matches. It's a little vulnerable to shooting, but if you can deliver it into close combat through Warp Locuses or against non-shooting armies, you just deploy it and run it across the table. It's actually pretty good. I think it's a little underrated. The fact that it doesn't fly always breaks my heart, but you can live with that.
Yeah. Fate Weaver flies.
Fate Weaver flies.
Fate Weaver flies.
Zlack Onion with another $5 super chat. Jack, will you retire now and play baseball with a relative lack of success at LVO for Tyranids? Did they get hit way too hard?
I don't think so. I wouldn't draw too many conclusions from one event. I mean, Blood Angels were not the best list in the game at that event. Still took it down with them. Part of it's a little random how pairings go. Part of it's unfortunately, at LVO, what table did you get? You know, if you get the industrial terrain or field base or Necron table, and you play into Tau, you get shredded. But if you play on Chaos Gate and you play on Sisters table, then you beat them. So I would not throw too much emphasis on how, 3 or 4 Tyranid players did. None of them made top 8. Yeah, well, they could have.
Yeah. I mean, there were 50 Tyranid players at LVO, but still, I agree. Like, don't put all the emphasis or weight on a singular event. They've had an entire season to prove how good they are. They didn't have a good run this one. It is what it is.
That's just how life goes sometimes.
And then we've got another $5 super chat from Nick. Not me, but I like your name. Where do you see Orcs?
That's a good name.
It's a great name. Where do you see Orcs fitting in the Arcs meta? Any concerns the transports all just get shot down going in? Deep Strike or Goffs for single or Death Skulls?
Yeah. I was gonna let you know those Death Skulls. Don't worry. I think both are very interesting. So the transports in this meta have a bit of a target on their head, but are still very strong if you can get to midboard first. Before they start going down, you can start swarming your opponent's objectives. Death Skulls are very interesting. They're, I think, where I would put my money. I think something like 30 Storm Boys, 30 Commandos, like 15 Mega Knobs, a bunch of characters. Just do your primary, do your secondary. And also all your Choppas now are it's not like you just bounce off of Armor of Contempt armies.
Yeah.
Death Skulls can still kill. Goffs is very scary. They hit insanely hard. I love the forward pressure style. Mm-hmm. So I will probably continue to play Goffs somewhat, but I'll probably do both.
Yeah, I personally am more afraid of the Goffs, but they are like the antithesis for my personal play style. They just want to run at me, and I hate that.
Like, stop. Just play objectives with me so I can pick you away one by one and win at the end of the game by 2. And Goffs are like, not today. Bah, 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 bah.
Yeah, can't win on turn 5. You don't have models left.
That is true.
I'm not going to attempt to pronounce this name, but...
I think Josue Areola.
We'll go with that. Thanks for being a member for 18 months. Very much appreciate it. Hi, Nick. Question is, Altenzar have good rules? So Altenzar is an Eldar, I guess, sub-faction type of thing. Very few units have this keyword. They don't really have a lot of rules that interact with them. There are a few. I would say this is a very, very incomplete faction that I would not try to make an army out of.
Altansar, not Enwraith. Altansar is the craft world.
Never mind.
It was the craft world in the supplement.
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't even read what that does.
Nothing. That's the answer.
Okay, that's why. So I'm sorry. I got confused between the names there. The answer to your question is no. No, it does not.
I think they have some mortal wound defense. Yeah, they're not great. I know I see James Kelling every couple months. He's like, yeah, I took a look at Altansar again today. Nothing in there.
We all have our pet armies.
Yeah. No, he never plays it because he keeps looking at it and being like, right, and then putting it away.
Once a month, I tried to make Fabius Bile all combat work. Once a month. Anyways, speaking of all combat, let's talk about a unit who went from the shining star of all of 40K down to just a pretty good unit, and now...
Warriors.
Tyranid Warriors.
So they say the same points cost. No issues.
Right. Nothing even changed, really.
Yeah, if you think about it.
Except they now have to pay for their war gear. And
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. You can take... I'm not the most up-to-date with their points cost, but I believe a free warrior... Like, a warrior with free weapons is like 35, I think. Maybe 30. Mm-hmm. But that's with, like, nothing on him.
The same old Deathspitter and Bone Sword combo, which every Tyranid player ever ran, now costs you a meager 45 points a model.
Yeah, that's a yikes.
You're just not going to pay for that.
No, you're not. That's a custodian right there is what you've got.
When you look at other 45-point models in the game, and you look at a Tyranid warrior with Deathspitters and Bone Swords, you're like, what the hell are you doing?
It's a spear guard in terms of cost, like a custodian guard with a spear, and you don't even take spear guard.
Though. He's got a 4-up save, a 5-up invul sometimes.
Once.
No
transhuman, though. That went away. Completely. Not even mini transhuman. It's just gone. Just bye.
You might see a cheapo warrior unit, like a 3-man, to hold your backfield pretty decently, and then also give you access to the warrior imperative, because exploding 6 is a good roll.
That used to be 75 points. It is now 90.
Well, you might still see a 3-man. You're not seeing 27. That used to be a list.
True. I mean, that list was annoying to deal with in a thick city kind of way, but that's a Coven Drukari build from like a year ago.
Yeah. Warriors are... Tyranids are sad creatures. Not totally unplayable, as John has proven. He literally beat my Eldar in Nerf Tyranid form. I have nightmares about these games.
Yeah, I also think a Monster Mash build can be very good still. You lose a little, but I think you can pick away at the edges and still be fine. And then a Hormigaunt and Termagant and style build where you just don't let yourself get shot, I think is very nice.
Right. Another couple super chats here. We got Matt O, $5. Is Mark's Bloodthirster okay? There were concerns on the stream. I actually went back and checked out that stream from War Games Live. Joe did a great job getting all the close-ups of my broken Bloodthirster.
What did you do?
I flew across the country with 3 greater demons the size of my suitcase. That's what I did.
Okay, so TSA had a bit of a balancing concern.
TSA had a balance check on my army.
I've heard that the Bloodthirster is broken, but that's a little ridiculous.
He's not broken yet. No, the Bloodthirster's okay. We saved all the bits. His axe had a few. It was more like a blood stick, not a blood axe. But you know what? We have the axe parts.
Sellers Bergener with a $5 super chat says, so glad to hear about the win. Jack, what will you do with Iron Warriors? What I would do with Iron Warriors is I would turn to my friend right here and say, hey, Nick, what would you do with Iron Warriors?
Great question. Glad you asked. Iron Warriors, I think, are awesome. One, they still have pseudo-armor contempt in a world where, what have we been talking about? No one has armor contempt? Guess what? Everyone's packing in AP 1 and 2, and you're like, good for me. And then they have great rules, such as Norse cover army-wide. You see all these Space Marines that are doing well? They hate that. And then, on top of that, they buff your demon engines. I am on a Chaos Tirade right now. You can catch it in the War Room. There's a link below to a 3-day free trial. It's theyardwar40k.com/learn more. In there, I have experimented with demon engine spam, disco lords, all of the jazz. And you know what you can do in Iron Warriors? You can buff those things out the gills. You can also take 3x5 Havocs with Reaper chain cannons or auto cannons and just take your flavor on that. Reserve them if you want. Have a lovely beta striker. Just walk them around like 15 dudes with toughness 5, just shooting people with all the guns. Are you going to shoot these things when there's 7 demon engines running at you? Probably not. And then they also have an amazing ability to just take 5-man Legionnaires all over the place. I like to give mine Mark of Tzeentch and a Reaper chain cannon. Then they actually are AP2, blast, 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 blast. And then they ignore cover, and they move and shoot no penalty because of a Warlord trait. You could make stuff obsec, but I actually think that's a bit of a trap in Iron Warriors. It used to be like the go-to build. Now I think it's a bit of a trap. Iron Warriors are awesome. Big fan. Good job.
All right, Sinlord with a €6 super chat. Good job at LVO. The secondaries for T-Suns are still solid. Sorcerer's Prowess is awesome. If you take Demon Battle Brothers, it is still capped at 500 points. It was never capped at 500 points. It was capped at, a quarter of your power level?
25% of your total army's power level. And here's a fun fact. Chaos Space Marines are one of those codexes where if you take a 5-man CSM unit, like 5 Legionnaires, they have like 6 power level. And then if you give them a mark, they go up to 7. But if you take a 6th model, just to, think about being a 10-man, but just flirt with the idea. A 6th model, all of a sudden, you're a 13 power level unit. So you want to really spike up your power level so you can include more and more and more demons than you should be able to. Just take 6-mans everywhere. 6-man Terminators, just add 15 power level.
Yeah, power level is such a weird gaming mechanic.
It really is. So I've actually tried to consider putting Bloodthirster and Scarbrand in the same Chaos Space Marine army. I just fell short on my power level.
What's the power level?
That's almost 50 power level. So I was trying to make a 200 power level army.
You need 150 power level in Chaos Space Marines.
The problem is you get a lot of like... here's a lot of problems with it. One, you want to fill your army with like cultists because like you don't have points, but cultists do not escalate your power level quickly whatsoever. And then you want to take these 6-man legionnaires, which do escalate your power level, but then you run out of points, and I just could not get it to balance.
Oh, maybe you can figure the math out at some point.
Appreciate your super chat.
We've got a $5 super chat from Cultist Chan C. Hi, Art of War. Thoughts on Dark Eldar in Arks in general? Also, is it finally the time for 2 to 3 Dark Technomancer Tantalus, Patrol, or Real Space Raid? They got cheaper and good guns.
All right, so Dark Eldar, I think, got strictly better in Arks of Omen. They now don't have to deal with Armor of Contempt, which is a huge limitation.
Yeah, Hellion stonks at an all-time high.
Yeah, so that's awesome. List building is more free because the Arks of Omen detachment, plus you get a patrol from their FAQ they just got. I'm really excited for Drukhari. I'm actually going to be playing them this weekend on stream for you. So definitely please do check that out.
Yeah.
It'll be a really exciting game.
As far as Tantali, they went down to 220, which is... They're kind of, if your opponent can't just shoot them to death if they go first, 220 point Tantali are kind of broken.
I think Tantalus still suffer from the fact that they can't hide, so if you deploy them, you go second versus the guns, you just have Dark Eldar people standing around your deployment zone and you're down 220. But reserving that is not bad. I wouldn't put 3 in reserve and beta strike people, that's half your army, but like 1 deploying and just shooting people, or I'm scared of your guns, I'll put 1 in reserve, is not a bad beta strike. So I think they got some play there.
The putting racks with liquefiers in there and ignores cover, enhanced sensory organs.
I do like that.
And then having ignores cover Tantali as well is going to rip some Marines apart.
Yeah. $2 super chat from Mazella Delt. Iron Warriors, you mean 3 Warpsmith and Lookout Sirs? I don't mean that.
No, 3 LOSs. Lords of Skulls.
3 Lords of Skulls.
Lords of Skulls.
I don't mean that either, but I do think a single Iron Warriors Lord of Skull, which you just try to make as offensively awesome as you can and unkillable as you can, is really cool. And Jack, here's a fun fact for you. That Lord of Skulls, he's a Warp Locust.
Locust?
You want to bring in Scarbrand off your Lord of Skulls? You can do that.
With what rule?
With the Warp Locust rule.
Got it. Okay. Well, something that likes having Warp Locust around.
What's that?
Flamers.
Flamers of Tzeentch. Wow, I just ran a lot of those.
Yeah, you had what, 16?
Only 13.
Only 13?
I know.
Rookie numbers.
And then Fate Weaver, who I did run, is a Warp Locust for these beautiful gems. So Flamers, they got no points increases. Nothing really changed, right? Oh, but they have to roll to hit now. And some people on the internet are like, Flamers are fine. And some people on the internet are like, Flamers are terrible. And let me dispel all these internet rumblings and tell you.
So they're neither
the
good nor bad?
They are changing. So what you can do with Flamers is if you play Mono Tzeentch, which is very challenging to do because you have to play every model in your army as a Tzeentch demon, and you have no combat whatsoever. So I don't recommend doing this. You could give them +1 to hit through the Warp Storm, put them next to a Lord of Change, and give them 2 to hit reroll once, which is the same. It's really not the same because there are things in the game that have hit mods. You have to spend Warp Storm points doing that instead of nothing to do that, which is obviously taking away from the other things you could be doing through opportunity cost. You're playing Mono Tzeentch, so just get that idea out of here. And then on top of all of that, when you don't go buff your Flamers out the gills, right? You just take a unit of 5 Flamers, kind of like I've been doing, and everyone's been doing. You move advance them. Right now, it's roll 5 dice. You get an average of 32 shots. All those are 32 hits. Now you roll 5 dice. You're not near your Lord of Change. He's not following you for the sake of it. These Flamers are on a mission. And then you're not buffing them up. So it's just hitting on 4s. And you know what 32 hits is?
They hit on 3s.
No, you're
You're
going 16 hits. That's the reality of the situation. Then there's the Overwatch, right? So like right now, Flamers are a challenging unit for combat armies to solve or anyone. They have 12-inch range guns. So they got to get right up in your face, very much in charge range of your opponent to fire. But then their defense is like, good luck charging me. So you have to either sacrifice a unit to the Overwatch gods, you have to charge through a wall, which a clever player can make very challenging to do, or you have to build in list mechanics to ignore Overwatch to try to deal with them. And that's just off the table now. Do you know how many times people would like just not charge flamers or suicide 2 units or just using Overwatch on flamers is half of the purpose to take flamers, and that's just not there right now.
Yeah, I mean, 125 unit that deletes a unit on your turn, then deletes a unit on their turn, and that has a 3-up invul, I think is a little strong.
No, I mean, they were broken. Let's not mince words here.
Making them not auto hit, means that it lowers their output during your turn, which is great, but it also means that the Overwatch makes them a lot easier to actually exploit the fact that they have a 6-up invul in combat. Because the idea with Tzeentch is they're really hard to deal with in shooting, but in combat, we're good. Well, Flamers, that's not the case. It was actually probably easier to deal with them in shooting than sacrificing a single shooting unit actually does more damage to Flamers than a single combat unit, because the combat unit can't charge them.
Yeah, in most cases.
So I think this is a good change. I mean, a 25-point model that's a 3 wound toughness 4 with a 3-up against shooting is still kind of cracked, and they have a lot of shots.
They do. I still think they're playable. I think Flamers in any kind of squad size, right? Like you're on a 6-man in Disciples of Bellicor, you can give them rerolls to hit. That's pretty close to what they currently do. You could run like a couple 3 or 4-mans. I really liked my 4-man at 100 points. Walking around, it was like not easy to shoot at with 12 wounds, 3-up invul. It can fly, raise banners. It will beat up small skirmishing stuff. If you buff it to the gills, it will kill stuff way above its points cost. Really good utility units these things are. I just don't think you spam 18 of them like people have been doing.
Yeah, I think Bellicor really, really makes them work now, because that's when you'll take the Chapter Master that he has, give them reroll hits, and then teleport them. And so I think Bellicor plus Flamers is still really good.
Yeah, for sure. And then we've got another couple super chats. We've got Commander Cha-Cha, which is better for Imperium Knights, 2 to 7 or 1 to 10.
What do you think that means?
This is 2 big knights to 7 little knights, or 1 big knight to 10 little
You got
knights.
it right. The answer is 110.
110.
110 is really good, especially in Freeblade Lance. 2-7, you start to run out of bodies. 110 is you can just swarm your opponent. They're like, I can't kill all these armigers. And you're like, yes, you can't.
In 40k, more stuff is better stuff.
That's true. It's true.
All right, so I'm sad about my Flamers. I think the nerf was super elegant, and I actually liked the nerf. But as someone who ran a lot of Flamers, R.I.P.
You like just turning your opponents into fire.
I really did.
Whoosh.
There were games where the Flamers didn't do much, and there were games where the Flamers put the rest of the army on their back and just said, "Get on, boys."
Yeah, now you just have to do that with like fiends and flesh or something.
I'm not saying demons don't have moves here.
Yeah, I think demons are pretty good. All right, let's go to Harlequin Troops.
Ooh, another one that got nerfed. How hard did these get nerfed, though?
Yeah, this one actually hurts, as opposed to the Starweaver one, which is, like, I think fair. Like, this one, I think Troops honestly could have kept their 4-up. I don't know. Troops are annoying to kill, but they're not impossible to kill. And I feel like annoying is right where Harlequin should be. Not, I can't kill it, just like, why are you making me do this? With a 5-up invul, they drop really, really, really fast. Like, that's what I've noticed. Because I've played with them as 5-mans before. I've played with them as 12-mans before. I've played them in the middle. And Harlequins, troops were kind of annoying to kill. And if you took a 12-man and put a lot of buffs in it and put a lot of characters supporting it, then you could make it really obnoxious for your opponent to deal with. And I thought that was fine. But, of course I would. I was playing them. Mr. Flamers over here. Harlequin Troops now, I've played with them since with the 5-up, and the boats are really annoying to deal with en masse, but Harlequin Troops are not. Harlequin Troops die very, very fast when you can see them now.
For sure.
And they didn't get really any better. I mean, Armor of Contempt going away is a big deal for their combat, because they are AP 1 and 2, and that's it, unless you're a sicko who plays Dark, and I would not. So they're AP 1 and 2, that's it. And so that meant dealing with Marines was kind of annoying, but now it's not really. Twilight Harlequin troop unit just deletes a squad of Marines and it's fine.
Yeah. Harlequins, I think, are really now going to play more for mission stealing and very surgical strikes into your opponent's lines, very calculated kind of play, as opposed to being a bit of a stat check army, which they definitely were before. I don't think Harlequins from an army identity type of faction should be a stat check stylist. I'm glad they're not anymore, but I do think they still got a lot of play.
Well, I think the boats can still do the same job they did before, but Harlequin troops being durable, I don't think was the issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a blanket -1 invuln to everything is kind of a blunt instrument, and I think it got the boats to where they need to be, but I think it put Harlequin troops a little down on the list. Although they were one of the better units in the game beforehand, it just They had to be because they were the only unit that army really had.
Time will tell.
I think Harlequins are still a very good army, for the record. I've played with them, as I said, twice, and just theory crafting and playing against them with a 4-up, yeah, 4-up's pretty busted. But playing against them with a 5-up and they get some of their rules back, I think Harlequins are still, honestly, I think they're still an A-tier army. I think they're still very good.
Well, yeah, for sure. I definitely am excited to see what Harlequin builds and players do with them. I think it's going to take someone who really knows Harlequins well to perform with them well, but, a great Harlequin player should put on a good performance.
The fun troop-based, foot-based troop builds,
No,
they're not going to do it anymore. They die way too fast and mortars exist. But 8-boat Twilight with a bunch of characters in there is really good. It's really good.
It's really good.
Very aggressive. You go kill your opponent, and that's how life goes. Because their scoring got a little worse, too. I do love that.
Someone who maybe also likes being a bit aggressive is making our way up this list as well. We've got the Big Daddy himself.
Abadaddy.
Abadabadoo. So Homeboy over
Abaddon
here.
the Despoiler.
Homeboy over here went up 50 points, and that's reasonable, I guess. He was pretty baller for his points cost, but he also doesn't really love the new Arks of Omen's list design. He doesn't fit in places. You used to be able to excessively just toss him into a Chaos Knight army, give them all reroll ones to hit, add this super awesome combat character to your shooty Chaos Knight army. Life was great. You want to add Abaddon and 15 Flamers to your Chaos Knight army? Go right ahead. Abaddon and your demons, giving your demons +1 charge? Why not? Abaddon and everything. That's what he was here for. Now he's not.
He was here for all kinds of chaos, not just CSM, which made very little sense.
He's the daddy.
Right, he's the Abadaddy. Well, now he is going in CSM, and you better like it. And he does not get his stratagems unless he is in Black Legion.
Yeah, so that was the other thing, right? So you would put him in, say, your Emperor's Children, and then he's just like, I'm here, everybody's rerolling ones at this party, also I'm badass, and every now and then I can, once per game, use the Legion trait of a different Legion. Oh, Red Corsairs, I would like Advance and Charge. There were times where I would pop it on... well, that's the most common one. There's a lot of other times to do it. But
yeah, there are. You could turn them into Night Lords.
I did that against you, Jack. I did that against you.
I know.
And it was great. But yeah, so that whole thing is gone. And while you might say, it's only once per game, the threat of it is really weird. Because, you could just tell your opponent, hey, Abaddon could just advance and charge. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta stay 45 inches away from this man because he could be anywhere.
But also, once he's in, he doesn't really need it anymore.
You only need it once.
It's like logging in Orcs. You only really need to advance and charge your whole army one time, because after that, you don't need to do it anymore. You're right up in their grill.
Yeah. So, will you still see Abaddon? I think you'll see him in Black Legion. I think Black Legion is good. I think you might see him in Mixed CSM. You can't see him anywhere else.
Yes, I think he's good outside of Black Legion. I think Black Legion is Abaddon and Abaddon accessories.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think Abaddon is going to surprise some people. People are going to be like, oh, he's out of the game. And then they play Black Legion list that just is like, we support Abaddon, and then Abaddon tables somebody. Well, that actually sounds like a lot of fun.
There's times where, I've been running Abaddon a lot in the past few months, and against a variety of armies, he just can't die due to the character lookout surge plus face cap, and then he runs the show. And then there are really good players with good armies. Let's design that's got plans for Abaddon, like Tyranids, Harlequins. They all have great answers for Abaddon.
Yeah, Guard, unfortunately.
He just doesn't do anything when there's someone who has a face cap answer him. Because you have to be very cautious with your 350-point character. And you're like, this is not why I took you. It's just not.
Yeah, I mean, Guard have a real easy answer to him because the Finial and Emmerdesh first literally solves every single problem in that army.
It's really any faction that legitimately has damage in psychic shooting combat can just make Abaddon's life hell.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you just have to, you can still use him. You just can't, you don't leave him at home because then he's not doing anything, but you can put it so your opponent can't really activate in multiple ways, or put it so if they fail to kill him, then the game ends, or you see... I think you still use him, and I think Black Legion is just like, Abaddon kills 1,800 points of my opponent's army, and, the rest of my army supports Abaddon. I think it's a very interesting build.
I'd love to see you make this Black Legion list and put on the board.
That would be very fun.
Let's do it.
All right.
You know what I definitely don't want to see on the board ever again, ever? This one coming up. Zonethropes. Talk about champions of Warhammer down to 60 points a model. Up to 60 points.
Up to 70 points a model.
70? Oh,
they're 70 now, bud.
210 for 3 of these things. Okay, so what did they do? They floated around. They're very hard to shoot at because they got that 4-up invul, toughness 5. They sit in the backfield.
They used to be transhuman. They are now trans nothing.
Yeah, they smited super hard. So like basically they're +1 to cast for each Zoanthrope in the squad. So it's +3 to cast. And then they're +1 to cast if you have Neurothrope in the Doctrine. So you could be very high to cast. They get +1 mortal on their smite per Zoanthrope in the unit. So at a minimum it's D3 +3. +4 to cast, you like sneeze and get a big smite. So
+3 if you're taking a 3-man.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So +3 to cast, you get your big smites off, and then all of a sudden D6 +3 mortals, and then you have 2 or 3 of these units, and life sucks.
Yeah, your entire army just like melts.
But there's
mortal
tactics
wounds.
you can use against Zoanthropes, or at least you could have, right? Like screening. I could put like small guys in front of my big guys, and then they have to be the closest for smite. Really, really clever players can spring the Zoanthropes in lines and then move laterally side to side. So the Zoanthrop on the right can't see your screen. The Zoanthrop on the left, when I move this way, can't see your screen. So he's going to be doing the smite, and then it goes straight into your important unit that I actually want to hit. So
yeah,
they're so hard to play against.
I'm also really not okay with any strategy for dealing with a unit. It's simple. Every time my opponent has a Zoanthrope unit, I just sacrifice a unit a turn to him.
Yeah, I hope I sacrifice a unit a turn to him.
I hope it's only one.
Yeah.
Because 2 units of Zoanthropes plus like Smite Scream off of a Flyer or whatever is legitimately multiple units a turn.
As an Eldar army that's like allergic to mortals, and I just be out of line of sight to handle these things, Zoanthropes are like, get wrecked.
get rocked, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is fine. I know it's a lot of points being increased, but damn, Zoanthropes were obnoxious to deal with.
I think Zoanthropes genuinely need to just do a little bit less on the offense. Maybe give them more like synergy with the army so there's reasons to take them. And then make them a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, they give up the 5 and /4-up invul once a game. That's their imperative, which is the only reason people will realistically take it now, which is unfortunate. I would love it if they just had the +3 to catch Witchfires and they didn't have the +3 mortal wounds, and then they just went, or maybe they're just +1 or something. I don't know. Tweak the numbers and then drive their points down. I think it would be interesting.
210.
But just,
it's just so much.
300 points for 2 units of these that just melted you in the psychic phase. It was just too much. And they were so hard to deal with 4 wounds. They're going to be -1 to hit because they're going to be near the Venom Thropes. They're going to have a 4-up invuln. It's obnoxious.
If you played any sort of elite models, it was horrible.
Yeah.
But you know what? This was only the tip of the iceberg to the Tyranid Mortal Wound Factory. Because alongside these Zoanthropes that blasted you if you stayed away from them, they also ran some Spore Mines. And Spore Mines, well, they blasted you no matter where you were.
Yeah, Spore Mines were just a bad mechanic for 40k. Like honestly, they were just poorly written.
So you see this giant picture of a Biovore. This is not about the Biovore. The Biovore is an extension because he produces Spore Mines. The Spore Assist, he could also be here. This is for Spore Mine production units because these guys, what they used to do is like do an action or do their thing that they do, and it created Spore Mines, which then either move blocked you by standing right where you wanted to stand, and that sucks, or they create this roadblock where it's like you can move through them, but
you're dead.
You're dead. Or my least favorite, when they sat behind a wall in front of the Tyranids that you want to charge, because then it's like I can't charge you, and you move 25 inches, so you're gonna charge me, and that's real bad.
The amount of times that John just would give me a story of how he put 45 Spore Mines in a building, and then later in the game his opponent moved their entire army near it, and then the 45 Spore Mines just spilled out of the building and deleted their entire army like a Baneling rush or something. It was just, I don't know. I can't hear it anymore.
To play against Spore Mines effectively, you basically need to screen theoretical placements where Spore Mines could be, and then deal with them at a paceable ratio as they came in. So like as John would create 6 to 12 Spore Mines, I had to kill 6 to 12 Spore Mines, which is now taking my resources that I paid for, that I need to protect, and making them fight this free garbage that John's just spawning every single turn. And also there's a Tyranid army. That's just happening.
Yeah, and also most of the time he just wouldn't let you deal with them, because if you are set up and you're just sitting back and you can shoot them, and there's not a position where you can move block you with them, then he'll just put them behind a wall somewhere, and later in the game, that's a position you just can't go, or you're taking a bunch of mortal wounds.
Or you know what else was the worst part? They benefited from that Zoanthrope Doctrine. So you could just, farm Spore Mines for like 3 turns, keep your Tyrant safe behind those Tyrant Guard with some overrun plays, and then all of a sudden, Oh, I guess I gotta go do something. Turn 4, let's bum rush with 30 spore mines plus the Tyranid army. Give the whole thing a 5-up. Do you know what's really obnoxious? Free spore mines with a 5-up invul.
Yeah, that was pretty silly. GW basically wrote the spore mines with the you can move through them. They do not obstruct your movement, and was like, that's probably good enough. And then they went home. And unfortunately, it was not good enough because, like any other unit, you can't be within an inch of it.
Yeah.
So you could drive through it technically, but you can't land on top of it.
Being a model has such an intrinsic value in this game, just taking up space.
Yep, and that means that, hey, if there's a big knight and it wants to go there, then it can't end with an inch of a spore mine that spawns 6 inches away from it. Well, if you check that, it means it can move 5 inches because it can move over the spore mines, but it can't land on the other side outside of an inch, so it goes back there. And this titanic vehicle that can walk over anything pretty much is bullied by like 6 floaty boys.
Yeah, it's a free spore mines that do all the things that spore mines did. There's a lot of ways you could have fixed them. Making them pay for themselves sounds fair, but it really means you're just never going to see them again because you basically have to pay for the biovores, the spores, and then also the spore mines. So screw that.
Yeah, I think it's just GW realizing we messed up. Spore mines know a thing anymore. We'll deal with it some other point in time.
Yeah. You know what else we're going to deal with, though? This membership super chat from Peaches the Destroyer. He's been a member for 2 months. Thank you so much, Peaches. It's bad, but sounds fun. A Storm Raven with a Smash Hammer Shield Terminator squad.
No, it's a bad idea, but it sounds fun. A Storm Raven with a 5-man Hammer Shield Terminator squad, or other Storm Shield squad and Murderfang coming in turn 2.
I do love Murderfang.
He murders and fangs. Yeah, Peaches, I believe, will not run anything other than pure Space Wolf. So, there you take Murderfang. Sounds good.
So Peaches is a member of our wonderful War Room community. We actually have a whole group of War Room members in there. There's a link right down below where you can learn about it. But basically, we focus on teaching you some really exciting competitive Warhammer. You have some of the best players in the world. Richard Ziegler, myself, and Jack, all former LVO ITC champions. Got some other amazing players on our roster as well, all solely focused on helping you get better. So you get access to all of that in our Discord server, along with tons, and I mean tons of video content on our website and in this YouTube channel, so you can check it out if you're a member as well. Yeah. There's a 3-day free trial going on, so like it literally doesn't cost you anything to try this. I don't know what to tell you besides please just give it a shot. Yeah, I'm sure you'll like it.
Yeah, I think what they should have done with spore mines is I think they should have made it so free units I think are fine because you pay for them with the unit that generates them, but I think that they just can't just be like when you generate them, they can't just be wherever you want them to be. That's not okay. Like if a Sporicist generated the 6 spore mines a turn, but they just had to start in base contact with the Sporicist and then move, I think that would be fine.
They have to be 18 inches from the Sporicist.
It has to teleport out. It has to be like, all right, there it is. It's in midboard already. Now you have to deal with it every turn. If they like had to float across the battlefield and you got like a chance to actually deal with it, fine. But they teleport from the Sporicist that deploys in midboard behind a wall to also behind a wall or 6 inches from your army move blocking you. Yeah. It was obnoxious.
And then we got Henrik Thompson with the 45 Danish super chat. How does LVO Shadowruns work and why can't it be on stream? I believe Joe from War Games Live did stream the Shadowrun. I think honestly the reason it wasn't on stream is simply because that's 12 hours of streaming, and as a professional streamer, that will kill you. So like no hard feelings to the people who put on the stream for LVO. The Shadowrun basically works is at the end of 6 rounds, the 1,000 person tournament that LVO was, still had 14 undefeated players, give or take.
Yeah, 15, I believe.
15, yeah.
Yeah.
And then only 8 make top 8. That's how counting works. So we had to figure out how to turn 15 into 8, and that's just playing an extra round, the Shadow round, where only the people who are still in contention to make top 8 need to play, so the other 940 people can just go do something else in their Saturday night in Vegas. Wish I was one of those, but you know.
I'm sorry. You had to keep winning, I guess.
You know,
you had to make top 8.
The worst way to have an LVO experience is play the Shadow round and lose. And I feel for all the people who did, because then you just spent 12 hours playing 40K and you're heartbroken.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. What was your final placing?
I got 6th.
Out of 1,000.
Out of 1,000. I'm not complaining about that.
Good work. Unfortunate. It just couldn't really be on stream. I think they did something but I don't really remember what because I was playing in it.
Yeah. And then we've got Erwin Bucka with a €5 super chat. Congrats, Jack.
Pound,
euros. It's all currencies.
pounds.
Congrats, Jack. Preparing for Eternity with my Dark Angels, taking combined Deathwing / Ravenwing lists. Do you think taking Cup of Infiltrators adds to the army?
I think it's fine. I think 1 to 2 squads infiltrators is totally fine. I found they came up a lot when I had them in Blood Angels. Now I had to have them there, so if I didn't have to have them, I probably would have included other stuff. But they came up a lot. The 12-inch screen out, it came up a lot. Now it came up against Thousand Suns, an army that works significantly differently now and is not quite as big of a terror. But it came up a bunch. A lot of people have things in reserve that they want to bring in, and the 12-inch screen is about 50% larger than a 9-inch screen if you factor in the area. So it's 144 square inches as opposed to 81. Mm-hmm. So it's actually not 50%. It's like 66% or 75% bigger or whatever. Math's hard right now. I will get back to you when I'm not working on 7 combined hours of sleep in the last 2 days.
Jack, you're a champ. You deserve a break after this. But you know what? We just wanted to make sure we kept delivering the content to you. So even right after LVO, no breaks in this house.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Matt O, who is a champion of our channel, wants to know how I beat TJ in like 20 minutes. Very simply, it went like this. I hard-teched for 1,000 Suns. Mm-hmm. Very, very hard. And I did not play Vicar David. But hard teched for him, and then it worked out like that, where he just couldn't run at me, or I'd kill him.
Yeah, let's push that transition button and let everybody know that we appreciate them for this tier list, for joining us, for being part of this community. You guys really, especially at LVO, I will say, like, I had a very emotional experience this LVO, seeing the community that, we help to be a part of, and just generally the quality of the people at this convention, like, not just as players, but as like people. Like, everyone was so friendly, the camaraderie was there. It just felt like a giant Warhammer family. It was so amazing to see all of you and interact with all of you. And please always say hi. Jack, myself, John, Siegs, we're all welcoming. We'd love to meet you guys. You really make doing this very fulfilling and worth doing, and I can't thank you enough for all that. So please, again, support the channel, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Jack's very handsome.
Aww.
And, check out that War Room 3-day free trial. It's really where we help elevate your play and make you not only get better at the game, but enjoy Warhammer more, and that's really, I think, what it's all about. So give it a chance, theartofwar40k.com/learn more, and thanks so much for watching, everybody.
Bye-bye.